I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this is our daily Bible study. Join us as we now continue on in the series, Understanding Fear. This is the 11th segment of Understanding Fear and the 10th part for Terms of Fear. Remember again, we're doing a definitive study, so we're trying to unpack all of the words that deal with fear. And there are literally, first I thought there were 31, but as I continue to unpack, there are 40 terms for fear. And to some, this may be boring as you go to find out the total comprehensive principles that are locked in this emotion, fear, and how they impact behavior, the mind, the unconscious, the subconscious, and the active conscious. But to those who are avid Bible study students, those who are avid Bible readers, and who desire to exegete, then this is right up your alley. Let's begin. Today's segment, we're going to deal with another Hebrew word that is entitled ragez. And so ragez, then, it comes from a term of the Hebrew term that literally can be found in various different portions of Scripture. And this term literally means commotion or restlessness, as from a horse. A horse, when it senses danger, it may move back and forth, or it's restless because it doesn't feel comfortable with what's about to transpire. And so when we look at this term, ragez, commotion is usually something that is stirring. It could be something that is a loud noise. It could be something that is an experience or an activity that's happening that's causing situations to get out of hand. It can be a crash of thunder, something that disquiets you. It could be a quick inrushing anger, an anger that even scares you because of the totality of the anger. It can deal with rash behaviors. And so when we look at this term, ragaz, it means to tremble, to quake, to quiver, or to be agitated. And so it has a sense of dealing with something that excites an individual, something that can cause an individual, again, to be disquieted. It erupts or it elicitates behaviors that cause loudness. Now, as we go a little further, and we look more into the word ragaz. Ragaz, then, in the Hebrew means agitation, that which excites you to the point where your nerves are on edge, your energy is moving. And sometimes this type of fear is an anger because you're afraid somebody is going to do something or someone has done something to you, and you don't want this to continue on. And so you begin to rage, and your heart becomes troubled, and there's turmoil to the point where you start trembling because you are so disquieted. Your peace has left, and now you don't know what is about to happen. And so there's trepidation, and this trepidation can move us into a state where we become violent. Remember, when we deal with the fear factor, fear can cause 4 behaviors. Again, the flight, the fight, the freeze, and the faint. First of all, sometimes it elicits fear to the point where we try to get away. We want to get out of that situation. And again, this type of fear has avoidance. This type of fear has sometimes rejection, because if we continue, we might get hurt. So fear can produce flight, avoidance, or rejection, because rejection can be a type of avoiding a situation. Fear, as we continue, can also, or the word ragez, can deal with from the ancient Hebrew, and this is a very interesting state because it deals with the shaking or trembling out of fear or anger. Sometimes fear is so powerful that it moves the mind to impact the physiology where an individual begins to shake. And this is the same type of shaking that emotions can do to cause anger where you shake. Both of these, when it comes to roges, it talks about the fear and the anger that produces physiological effects. The body begins to release hormones to the point where you're either about to run, that energy is surging through you, and you're getting the strength to get out of the way, and that's why you're shaking, because you are considering what can be done. And so this type of fear is to shake in fear or anger. It means to tremble, to move, or to rage. It is a fury. It is uncontrollable anger or uncontrollable fear, and it produces again the physiological trembling or shaking because of the trouble. Now, if we go a little further and we continue to investigate, the term can deal with raging excitement that produces nervous energy. It can mean the state of agitation or uproar that creates something that just turns everything upside down. It produces tumult. And this comes specifically from fear. Again, it can be because of commotion, a loud noise, or a disruption in an everyday, otherwise normal situation. And so it can deal with upheaval and the chaos of ordinary life that takes place in this world, when your whole world turns upside down, when you start shaking because the turmoil that has happened has produced an uncertainty about tomorrow. It has produced an element where now you just don't know if you want to deal with what's happening. You want to, again, either flee it, which means avoid it. You want to fight it, which means to oppose it. And sometimes when we start trying to fight or oppose things that are out of our control, it leads us into simply ignoring. Or we may respond and lash out at others because of trying not to deal with the scenario. And then again, the flight, the fight, we oppose it, we reject it, we don't want to face the reality of the truth, we freeze, we don't know what to do, so we just stand there. We're incapacitated both mentally and physically, and so we don't move. Sometimes people just retreat because they don't know how to respond. And then fourthly, faint. We just become oblivious to the entire thing. And when this occurs, we remain inactive, and sometimes there's an emotional detachment and an emotional breakdown because of the severe fear of not knowing how to face tomorrow. These type of fears, they can only be dealt with and overcome through the understanding that Jesus is with you, that there is life after tomorrow. And if you're still living, and if you're still around, you have a reason to live, because God is not through with you yet. We are out of time, and I thank you for joining us in our daily Bible study. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and join us next time as we continue on in the series, Understanding Fear. God bless and keep you.